Hi everyone. It's Tuesday. You weren't expecting me, were you? We are just doing today and tomorrow. So I'm today and Sarah's got a block for you tomorrow. If it's the one that she'd left on the table, I quite like that one, and I love the fabrics that she's using anyway, so that's a big deal. Just waiting for a few of you to come on. How are you all? We are doing Pojagi, I think that's how you say it today, which is a Japanese Korean patchwork sewing technique, which has excited me for a while, and I just thought I'm going to give this a go. So I've really enjoyed using it. Hi everybody, look at all those little names coming up. So how are you all? I'm okay. We are trying to get all these binding things done. We have got a binding machine, which, as long as you're methodical with it, it's fine. Otherwise it starts to it's just trying to bind all these isolation quilt folders, booklets. They look really good. She should be really proud of those. So today we are doing Pojagi, and because I chose to do them with batiks, we've decided we're going to put a oh, she's in the shop, Linda. It's just that we're only doing 2 this week, so I'm doing today and Sarah's doing tomorrow, and then Thursday we go to Newark, so there's a good chance there won't be anything at 1 o'clock on Thursday unless Linda's doing it, and then we'll do Friday and Saturday. We'll do lives from Newark show, so you'll be able to see any of the quilts and the stalls and things going up. Right, okay, I was saying, bring your mind back to where you are, Sarah Jane. Because I'm using batiks, we're putting 25% off batiks on the website. Okay, so if you have been fancying trying batiks, then get yourself over there and start buying a few. We had a chap there today selling us fabric, and we actually turned down batiks because we didn't have we haven't got rid of all the ones that I've got there. So I said, no, it's okay, I won't buy any this time. So I need you to go on and buy them all so that I can go back and buy some more pretty ones, because I do like a batik. Right, I'm just going to plug this in, hang on. Talk amongst yourselves while I'm down here. Right. It's alright, I had trouble with the computer. I had to ring Sarah and say. Right, so, yes, I wonder what Linda's going to do on Thursday for you all. Right, okay, so I am going to, I should be on 2, so overhead is 3, so we're going to overhead. Right, Pojagi, I made a couple of pieces. Where is it? Must be wrapped up in here. Okay, so Pojagi is a Japanese or Korean technique, and it's using a single piece of fabric, but there's no raw edges, so you can see on here all the edges are finished, and it's how you get to that stage of doing it. Okay, it's a brilliant technique if you're going to use them as curtains, or you want to do a landscape that sits in your window, because when you shine it up against the light, the seams where you finish them, they give that a black or a darker line. So you can draw a picture and do it so that it could all be in the same colour fabric and the story is in the line. If you wanted to use this for clothing, if you wanted to do patchwork dress, now then you would finish it off this way rather than line it, I suppose. You could do a summer dress, and I'm loving that idea. So it's a bit like, I don't know if any of you are seamstresses, as in dressmakers, but you can you finish it off like a fell seam. So it's all like encased in there. Okay, so yes, like stained glass, Linda, I love it. I went on then, so I'll show you how to do the straight lines, and then I went on and did, the idea was to make a landscape. So I went on and learnt curves. Now I know Sarah has taught us curves, but I've never actually attempted it. So depending on how the time goes, we will have a look at doing a curved one. Okay. So without any further ado, we shall have a look. I keep dropping them all on the floor. Ugh. So I've got bits here, okay, and we're just going to have a go at picking out a few and turning them into make a sheet. It's a bit like crumb quilting, but tidy crumb quilting. Okay, so we are going to use square bits. Right, here we are. These two bits will do. It's the same technique no matter how many times you put it together. So we're going to show you, and then I'll show you how to cut it into a curve. Right, any questions so far? Yes, the Batik Susie are 25% off on the website. If you're fancying, some of them are still current, others are out of my stash. Right, so I straightened that line off, okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to put these two together, okay. I never know how far the thingy's gone. Now the whole idea of this is you're going to fold this down like that, which encloses all of your raw edges. Is that better? Can we see now? Okay, so you're going to fold it over, and that's where your seam's going to be. Alright, so you want to have your 1/4 inch. Ooh, let's lose this one. Okay, it doesn't have to be an exact 1/4 inch, depends on how thick you want your seam to be, but you need about a 1/4 inch. I'd probably, yeah, it's about a 1/4 inch down, and then you're going to lay your other fabric on top, okay, and then you're going to sew 1/4 inch from that seam, from that edge, from the top fabric's edge, okay, so you've got your 1/4 inch, and you're just going to sew. Alright, so we'll go over here, very much like a French seam, but they're called a fell seam. Number 4, is it? Are we here? Have you got this now? Okay, so you're going to sew your 1/4 inch now from your top fabric. Okay, can you see where you've got the 1/4 inch, about a 1/4 inch here, hanging over, and you're going to sew 1/4 inch from this edge. I need to check what colour she had in there, but so you're just going to follow that edge along like that. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to overhead, which is the 3. So you can see now you've got your seam here with a raw edge, and you've got a raw edge up here. So what we're going to do is we're now going to fold that seam over like that. Now you can either iron it like that, or you can just finger press, or use one of those metal seam flattener thingies, you know, the June Taylor ones. I used one of those and I found it really good, but of course I didn't pack it, and we've sold out in the shop. Okay, so like that, and then you're going to fold it again. Okay, yeah, you're going to fold it again like that. So it was like that. Yeah, you folded it out like that. I was so certain I knew what I was doing. No, you don't. You fold it like that, then fold it out. That's right. Okay, start again. So you've folded it. Okay, so you've folded your 1/4 inch overhang over to the seam. Then you open your seam and fold it so that on this side, that's right, on this side you've got it's all tucked in. And now we're going to sew right on this edge all the way down here. Okay, so back to number 4. Yes, those June Taylor thingy me bobs are pretty good on batiks. I find just using my my nails are quite good on a batik. Right, that's 1/4 inch. So we're going to bring it over so that we're just doing it on the edge. Okay. I'm really on the edge here. I did it with by moving my needle last time. I moved my needle so that, because on this one here you can see I've gone off the edge a little bit. So I had a normal foot and did it with moving my needle to the 1/4 inch. I got, when you use a normal foot, you've got more grooves in order to follow an 1/8 of a seam, a 1/8 seam instead of a 1/4 seam, and so on. So 3. Okay. Karen, on when my nails are at full health, I can open packing boxes with mine. Don't tell my daughter though, she'll probably she'd be horrified at the thought of me using my nails to open a box. Okay, so apart from where I've gone off the edge here, that's what you would get. So on this side you only get one line. Alright, so that your seam is hidden and you get a line. Now you could use that as part of your sewing, the sewing aspect. You could do a coordinating fabric. Okay, so if we move that out the way, like that, and trim this off here like that. Okay, so we'll trim that off there like that. Must have been, there we are. Okay, so I've now got another straight seam. Now this was the bit that I really had to think about, because you then have to work out which way round everything goes. So if we're sewing right sides together like that, right sides together like that, you're going to come down, you're going to flip, yeah, that's right. So you want to put them right sides together. It's really difficult when you're using batiks because there's no right side or wrong side on most of them. I noticed some of the ones on the no, it's not the 25, is it? What is it on Sarah's? It's 29. Like that. Some of the batiks, the Christmas batiks, they were one-sided. The gold metallic was only on one side, which, now I think about it, is probably right. You would put the gold metallic only on one side, and the patterns go all the way through because of the way it's printed. I get there in the end. It might take me a while, but I get there in the end. So, following the edge of this, we're going to go along here. I'm going to stop there. Okay, and then we fold this down like that. And then you're going to open that out, okay, with that folded in, like that. And we're going to turn it round and come back on the edge. Can you see all that? Does that make sense? Like that. It's a lot easier when you iron it. Okay, so I'm going to pick a point on my knee, on my foot now, and I'm going to follow that all along and keeping an eye on where it's all tucked in like that. Yeah, ironing it means that you're not faffing with it so much. But batiks are really good for finger pressing. Okay. So, let me go back over to 3. Yeah, that's why I like them, Jean. Okay, so you can see now we're building it up, and you've got this built up bit where you've got no open seams. Now that would be ideal for tote bags. You could patchwork a tote bag without having to line it. Go back, you could make clothes, that would be quite good. And I'm quite keen to do it so that it sits in a window, so that the light comes through and it will diffuse and give you a coloured light coming through. I'm just going to keep playing with all bits and then put them all in one go. So to do them as a wave, a curve, let me just cut this bit off here because we can use that. See, what I'll do is I'll probably cut this now, and I might cut it at an angle like that, and add a piece in there, so that you end up with it going off at an angle. Okay. Apart from putting it up against the window, I'm not quite sure how I would show you the lights for it, but I'm really quite keen. In fact, I'm so keen that I've bought a book, so when it arrives I'll let you know. Okay, there were some projects that look quite interesting in it, so we might do some from there. But oh, look at that right angle, it's quite cool, isn't it? So there we go with that. To do a curve I had to think more, okay, which you know I don't do very well. So we're going to come back over here and we'll have a look at the curves. Okay. Now, like I say, Sarah has shown us curves. The idea was to try and make a scene of water and stuff and sky, but I think really I needed to have made more of an effort of looking at where all my fabrics were going to be placed. But we're going to do a curve for you. Okay, so now with a curve, you cut it and then have to match it up. Now, if you want to know how to do it, you know, dead on, go back and watch one of Sarah's, because she'll explain it really well, whereas I get lost in the process. How beautiful is this batik? Look at that one. It's stunning. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, so I'm just going to take that off there so that we're working with the same piece. Now, when you're going to put curves together, you're going to put your fabrics, now this is not brilliant fabric to show you with, but you're going to put fabric so that your bottom piece is right side up and your next piece that you layer on top is also right side up. Okay, and when I was cutting it like this. I was layering them up like that, and then I was just doing a little curve on the edge, and you use this piece of the one underneath. I suppose no, whatever I was left with on this side was never big enough. So unless you're coming in the middle to do your curve, make sure your bottom piece is slightly bigger. Okay, if you're going to curve it on the top. And then for this purpose I would go with the gentle curve. Okay, so you can draw it in first if you wanted to, and we're just going to do a curve like that. Okay, so you have your pieces underneath. Now what we want to do, I'm going to take that piece away, is we want to match the bottom fabric with the top fabric on the curve. We want it to end up like that. Can you all see that? But what we're going to do is we're going to put one right sides together with the other. Now for me, I'm going to, because I'm going to do this with no pins, because I found I got stuck on the pins. So I'm just making a mark at certain points to make sure that when I get to these points I can marry them up. However, it's on the wrong side, I suppose. So when you put them together, you're going to put them together like that, and you can see that your hills match your valleys on the other piece, and again your hills match your valleys. Okay, and you're going to take these pieces And I'm going to marry up these two here, like that. And what you can do is you could pin that, and then you marry up the mark on this side with the mark on that one. And using a red Frixon pen was probably not the best thing to do. So I'm going to take this over. At home I used the plique pins, which I think were probably too short for this, and they kept getting caught in the machine, you know, in the foot. So we're going to go and sew this. Oh, there. That's how you would sew it and have a flat seam. But we want it. It's a good job you thought of that, Sarah. Well done. We want it to be 1/4 inch away, don't we? So the best thing to do is mark your 1/4 inch in strategic places so you don't lose it. Okay, so you know that your 1/4 inch is going to be at this point all the way along. That's what I did. Okay, I'm just choosing 1/4 inch so that I can see that I'm keeping to the angles. Am I making sense? Is this all following? Now you can pin them in place, which means that you know that you're following that 1/4 inch. Okay, so we're going to begin and see whether I can make it work. Okay, you could use the other two, depending on how big you cut them will depend on how much is useful. So we're doing 1/4 inch from the edge, we're sewing 1/4 inch from the edge of your top one. Okay, now I know you're supposed to be able to, you're supposed to sew backwards, or you'd think I'd watch Sarah with something that interests me, but she always seems to have done curves when we've had people in. I was watching Man Sews on YouTube yesterday, and he was doing curves, and he said go slowly, because no matter how slow you go, it will still be faster than having to unpick it and re-sew it, which I thought was a very good point. Okay, so I'm making sure, no, I'm not sure how this goes. One of the things that we could do in the future is, if you have a pattern or a picture and you would like to see it turned into a block, or you want to see it turned into something, a bag or something like that, then if you send me the picture, we can see whether we can work it out together and do it as a process of how I would take, you know, because quite often I've found a picture. I'm not saying mine would be the best way to go, but at least you'd be able to see how the process works for you to sit and work it out for yourself at any time. Where are we? I think we're doing all right. Okay, so you know, if there's a pattern that you've wanted to make but you've always thought, oh, I'm a bit worried about doing this, we could have a look at bits of it together and work it, you know, see if we can work it out together. Because part of me doing things is I like to learn something new, and I like to fiddle and work it out. You give me a pattern for almost anything and I can make it. Don't ask me to write a pattern, I hate writing a pattern. So if you ever have a pattern that I've written, then, you know, give it the due it deserves, because it does take me a long time to write a pattern. Case in point is the bucket storage, isn't it, Anne? I'm getting there. Right, okay, let's see if that's worked. This is one of those things where it worked last night. We'll see whether it works today. Okay, so you ready for this? Are you all still with me? Do you do the things with the hands on the other way? The thing is, Jean, like I say, I've never actually watched it, so I don't know. Right, we need this to be straight. Okay, so we're going to just push this out a little bit. Look, that bit's flat. Are we on the right one now? Have I gone back to there? So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that pattern as well, Anne. So, look at that, it worked! I should have used different fabrics though, with a bit more contrast. But there, I did a curve, a perfect curve. So we now have this bit at the back, all right? So you're going to have to just fold. One of the easiest ways to do it now, rather than is with your fingernails, is finger press it down so that it all goes into just before the seam that you've just sewn. I love it when it does that. Okay, so we're just folding it down like this. Okay, I actually, it does look good, doesn't it, Jean? And I actually use my bucket storage a lot. It's really handy for my crochet. Mind you, I end up hiding a lot of stuff in there from the dogs. My crochet wind, you know, the yarn winder is in there as well, which it shouldn't be because it gets all tangled up with the yarn. And but yeah, all my crochet hooks sit around the edge. But the idea is to take it on Hochanda on in February, so I will get my bottom into gear and get the pattern written so that you can pattern test it for me. How's that? Okay, so we've now put in that edge and I'm ironing this one in just because you've got enough to deal with the curve without having to fight with the fabric as well. Oh, I do love it when a plan comes together. So I'm going along here. So we on Sunday we went to Barry Island. It was a nice day, it wasn't raining, and we picked the girls up, Erin and Elsie. We picked them up on the way and took them with the dogs. Now, the last time we were at the beach, the girls wanted to go paddling in the sea, but they didn't have wellies. So Granny bought them pink sparkly wellies. So girly, they're so lush. And so this was like their first welly outing. So they stood in the sea. Now the sea's going out, so you would think that it would be fine. So the sea's going out, and of course the waves are still coming in fairly they're still coming in fairly vicious. every 7th, isn't it? Every 7th wave is quite high. So they both stood in the sea holding hands. Okay, so I'm going to sew along my curve where I folded it under. Okay, so I'm doing just on the edge of this all the way down. So like Man Sewing says, slowly does it. So they're standing in, holding hands in the water and looking so sweet. And then this wave comes up, goes inside Erin's welly, so she yanks on Elsie to pull her out of the sea, but the sea has sucked Elsie's feet. You know, as it goes in and out, you sort of sink and suck. So Elsie ended up being dumped in the drink in the sea. And they were so good, they didn't complain or anything. And they're just such good girls. I know they're mine. Well, they're partly mine. But yeah, they're such good girls. Okay, so we have a curve. It just works out quite well. Look at that, that's amazing. And on the one side, you've got a single line going down. Now you could, if you wanted to jazz it up, you could now follow this line and put in a decorative stitch. I wouldn't suggest that you decorative stitch from the back, purely and simply because the back of your stitch might be doesn't show the decorative as well as the top. You know what I mean? So this is the original seam. Look at it. This is the original seam, which you've folded over. So you've got no stitching on that bit there. And then this is the back of the stitch that's holding down your fold over. And that's how you do your Pojagi seam. So it'd be nice if you go and have a go at it. See, I just love the whole technique. It's really cool. So there you go. It was cold water, Karen. It was really cold water. But we bought them donuts. They were fine. Donuts from Barry Island. Really good. So that's Pojagi. Once the book comes, if there's anything in there, we'll do more on it. And if I ever do it in the window, I'll put a post up and show you. We're off to Newark on Thursday, setting up on Thursday, and it's open Friday and Saturday. So remember, if you are at Newark, to come and say hello, because it would be lovely to meet everybody. Thanks, Pam. Yeah, it is beautiful boutiques, and I've got so many more that I could be doing things with. I could make a dress. I could make a cloak. I could make a cloak. Can you see me walking over the bridge in Dinas Powys wearing this cloak? One big, you know, the widows, Scottish widows type. Anyway, I digress. The star draw Sarah will do tomorrow, because it's her draw, so she'll do that tomorrow before she shows you her block, which I can't remember which one it is. And don't forget, the boutiques are on 25% off on the website, so get yourself over there, because it's not like we've got anything to do. Not like we've got anything to do. No, it's not like we've got. Oh, anyway, we've got loads to do, but go and order anyway. I'm going because I'm talking myself around in circles again, and I'll see you on the flip side. Bye.